name is Cameron. I'm in my late 30s. I have no college degree. I have no tech-related job experience, but I'm trying to break into the tech industry. So this channel is just going to be all about me talking about my experience along the way, some mistakes I might make, some things I might do right, and hopefully I could provide some advice to anybody who might be watching in the future. So really, I just wanted to start, since this is my first video, talk about what I've done so far, and just talk about my plans for the future. So I'm going to start by, so basically, like I said, I don't have a college degree. And if you were to look up any job listings for tech-related jobs on the internet, what do they ask for? They ask for either experience in the field, which I have none of, or they ask for a college degree. Typically, what I see is the Bachelor's of Science in computer science. So that's what I'm going for. Usually it's an equivalent to that, so you don't have to get that one in specifically, but that's what I'm going to go for. So the place I chose to get this degree is WGU. The reason I chose WGU is because of the possibility of getting through it faster. If you go to a normal university, typically you have to go by their speed. It might take months to complete a class. Even if you know the subject, you have to wait, a couple months go by, you take your midterm, and then you wait another couple months and you take your final exam, and then you pass the class. Even if you know the subject from day one. Like say for instance, you're really excited about the subject, and you get your textbook, you take it home, you read through the entire thing in 2 days, you're an expert on the subject. What happens then? Well, now you got to wait a few months, take your midterm, wait a few months later, take your final exam, and then you're done with the class. But WGU is different. It's competency based. So basically, you just have to prove that you know the subject and you're done. So you could do the same thing. You could read your textbook or whatever material they give you to learn, and then 10 minutes later, you can go do the final exam, and you're done with the class. That is what I love about it. I'm a fast learner, and I'm kind of obsessed with learning right now, so I can knock things out very quickly. So this is just right up my alley, WGU. And so, yeah, that's why I chose WGU. I'm just going to leave it at that with WGU. But what I wanted to talk about today is the fact that, so I haven't started WGU yet. I will be starting in February 2023. As of right now, it's December 2022. So I'm starting in about a couple months from now, hopefully. And I'm already 2/3 of the way done. And I wanted to kind of tell you how that's even possible. There are other tutorials on the internet about how to do it. And so it's not something new, but I kind of have a different take on the subject. I'm a very frugal, budget-minded person. So there are other options that are typically advertised. So I want to talk about all of them. And let me just show you. So, okay, so let me pull this up here. So these are the classes I've done so far. There's about 26, I believe, or so, 25 or 26 in total that I did. Today, I'm going to try to get in as much detail as possible. So I'm going to try and just break this up into a few different videos. So today I'm just going to talk about Saylor Academy. So I took Saylor Acade. Whoa! What happened? It's daytime all of a sudden. Oh, sorry guys. I actually recorded this part already. I just messed up the video. Sorry, I'm new to this whole video YouTube thing. I don't really have a whole lot to say here. Really, I just wanted to talk about, so these are the classes I've already done that I'm planning on transferring into WGU. I'm in the process of having those transferred in right now and being evaluated. So these are the classes I've done. As you can see, I started here on July 15th. That's when I took my very first class. I did calculus at StraighterLine. And on November 27th is when I finished my very last class that I did at study.com right here. So one thing I want to note here is, right, these ones in red here, these are this software engineering class that I did at Saylor. I ended up not finishing it. I'll talk about that later. This one here at Sophia, was supposed to transfer in for English composition. I completed this, but it won't count. So I'll talk about that when I get to Sophia in the future. But as you can see, there's a gap here of a month. So what happened is I went on a trip. At the very end, I ended up coming down with symptoms of COVID. I tested positive for it. It knocked me out for a few days, and then I had horrible brain fog for weeks. It was terrible. But yeah, it knocked me out for about a month. So the only reason I bring that up, not to talk about my medical issues, I just wanted to bring that up because, as you can see, this is about 4.5 months, but it can be done faster than this. There's a whole month in between. I actually took another week off here at the end of November. When I get to study.com, I'll talk about why, it took so much longer to do classes than it did for the rest of them. But yeah, really only want to bring that up because it can be done faster. Like I said, you take that month out, you take this week out here, it could have been done in easily 3 months. And one thing to note as well, I was working on this full time every single day, 7 days a week, except for the times I had vacation and whatnot. But yeah, I don't have a job right now. I left my job to do this. So I was able to focus on this full time. And I was working on it every single day. There were days I would only work on it for a couple hours, but most days I worked on it all day, pretty much. So, keep that in mind. But it can be done faster. I decided not to work on it like all day from morning to night. I didn't want to burn myself out. So yeah, so that's really what I want to talk about in terms of the classes I've already taken so far. But I do want to just mention that, so today I'm going to be talking about Saylor Academy. It's the one I did here. I did it right after StraighterLine. I only completed 2 classes there. So, I mean, really, there's not a whole lot more to say about that for now. But I'm just going to pull up Saylor here. And yeah, so I will join you again yesterday when I recorded this part. Okay, so here's Saylor Academy. So before I start talking about Saylor, so I'm going to be doing a lot of comparing and contrasting between the 4 schools that I attended, or school, I don't know. I guess they're referred to as schools. But you have Saylor, you have Sophia, you have StraighterLine, and you have study.com. I'm just going to, if I'm referring to them as a whole, I'm just going to call them the 4 S's. There's 4 of them. They all start with the letter S. They are all schools, which also start with the letter S. So I'm just going to refer to them as 4 S's. I don't know. If you have a better name, please let me know. I don't know. But because I'm doing a lot of comparing and contrasting, I don't want to have to name them out every time. I want to talk about them as a whole. Okay. So anyway, Saylor. So out of the 4 S's, Saylor is known to be what you might call, and forgive me, it's a little hacky, but the redheaded stepchild of the group. People don't tend to like Saylor. They don't recommend it a lot. And there are good reasons why. But I'll tell you why I actually like Saylor quite a bit. First of all, by far the cheapest. By far. It's only $5. $5 to take a test, and you're done with the class. And that's another thing. By far the fastest possible. It's possible for it to be the fastest. I wouldn't do it this way, but you can potentially just if you're familiar with the subject, you can come on Saylor, pay $5, take your exam, take the credit exam, and be done with the entire class in 20, 30 minutes. And you cannot say that about the other 4S's. That's not possible at the other ones. Now you can do the other ones quickly within a few hours at the other places, but 20, 30 minutes, that's a lot faster than hours. So there is that. So if you are somebody who maybe you've been in the field for a long time, and maybe you want to take the class that is Python or something like that. Python's not part of the computer science WGU. You can't transfer that in. But let's say you know Python, you've been doing it for years. It counts as some other program. But hop into Python, you know it so well, you go straight for the credit exam, and you can be done in like 30 minutes, and you have your credit. So you don't have to waste time going through this entire class at some other school. So I love that about it. So another thing I love about it too is look at all these classes here. There's so many. There's probably over 100 here. And they're all completely free. All of them. When I say $5, so what I mean is it takes you have to pay $5 to do the proctored exam. And by the way, the exam that you take for credit, it is proctored. It is, I don't know the exact term for it, robo-proctor. There's not a live person there. Basically, they just record your screen. You put a camera on yourself. They record your face. They could probably track your eye movement. They record your audio, making sure you're not talking to somebody, making sure you're not looking at other websites while you're doing the test, making sure you're not looking at your phone. And it is recorded, and they review that later. So if you're caught cheating, if they review the video later and they see that, oh, this guy, it's a bit sus, he's looking around the room a lot, they might take that credit back, so highly suggest you don't try to cheat. But that's how the tests work. But as I was saying, it's 100% free besides taking that test. You can go into any one of these classes here and just start it, go through it. Want to learn about business law? Click this little eye icon here. It says it'll take approximately 42 hours to do. And let me tell you, it's a long 42 hours. I'll tell you that much. And I'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, very cool that you can just do all this stuff for free. And so that's what I like about Saylor Academy. It's just the price. Can't beat the price. And the just the opportunity to do it very quickly. So if you want to do a class at Saylor Academy, what I suggest is don't jump, even if you know the subject super well or you don't feel like you know it at all. Jump in, choose the class that you want to do, go straight for what is called the certificate final exam. So let's give you an example here. I'll just pick on choose the business law class here, and this is not part of the WGU computer science program, but this is just an example. So if I was wanting to take business law class, what I would do, sign up for a free account, obviously, hit enroll me. You'll be enrolled in this class immediately. Scroll down to the very bottom. See, you have your certificate final exam. You have your Saylor direct credit final exam. Just click on this certificate final exam, start it, and just do it and see how you do. It doesn't hurt. It's completely free. The only thing about it is you do have to wait 7 days before trying again. Now I have found a glitch in one of the classes that'll let you take the certificate final exam immediately after a previous attempt. I don't know if it's just that class, but maybe it's possible. If you want to keep taking the test over and over again, you can. In some classes, in most of the classes I've tried, it doesn't work, but in one class in particular, it did work. So I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can in some cases. But yeah, just go for it. Just try it and see how you do. So the thing about it is that the certificate final exam is very similar to the direct credit final exam. So basically see how you do in the certificate final exam, and if you do pretty well, maybe go for the direct credit final exam. If you do horribly, I would suggest not taking a class at Saylor. Talk about that in just a second, but if you take the certificate final exam and you barely pass or barely not pass, maybe go through the material, look at the questions you missed, go through it. Has a study guide here telling you what you need to know, but just go through and just study up on the stuff that you missed, and then give the direct credit exam a shot. Only $5, so it doesn't hurt. But like I was saying, if you fail miserably, I would not suggest doing a class at Saylor. The reason why I would not suggest it is the material is incredibly dense, incredibly dull material. This seems like a class that would be a very good example of that. Business law. It might not be, but I'll just look at it just anyway. So let's see. Usually they have these books and stuff. But yeah, I mean, look at all this. Like, this is just a lot of words. This is actually not a very good example because this is actually pretty short in comparison to a lot of the stuff you end up looking at. But it's just words everywhere. It's like reading a thick textbook from start to finish. I have a very hard time learning that way. I get bored, and eventually I just feel like I'm not learning anything, and then I just lose my focus and I'm not learning anything, and then it's just a huge waste of time. That's what actually happened with the software engineering class at Saylor. That's why I didn't complete it. I spent days on it, reading constantly, trying to learn everything. And the breaking point came about halfway the way through, where I had been reading for about 45 minutes, and then I suddenly realized I don't remember a damn thing I've been reading for the last 45 minutes. I have no idea what I was just reading. So after that, I started to look for videos on YouTube, tutorials or anything that were related to that class. I couldn't really find anything. I like videos because, you have the person talking to you might have a little bit of a visual aid. I think that's very helpful. For me personally, I love that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just very hard to learn at Saylor Academy. If you're the kind of person who can read a textbook and learn from it, like actually learn from reading in a textbook, maybe Saylor Academy is a great place for you. For me, it's just not easy for me. But I did complete 2 classes at Saylor. Let me bring this up again. So, yes, I did the scripting and programming foundations, and I did scripting and programming applications. So scripting and programming foundations was CS 107. Let me just pull up the transfer pathways here for a moment. Okay, so here are the transfer pathways. This is on WGU's website. This is specifically for the Saylor Academy, the classes you can do at Saylor Academy. So these are the right here are the names of the classes at Saylor, and this is the name of right here is the name of what is called at WGU. This class will satisfy this class at WGU. And this is specifically for the bachelor's in computer science at WGU. But on WGU's website, they have something similar to this for all their different degrees. So you may want to find it yourself if you're not going for this one, or if you're looking at this in the future. These do have a tendency to change. It actually changed here recently. As you can see here, CS 101. If I pull back up this, I did CS 107. It is no longer an option to transfer CS 101 into or CS 107 into WGU. I did take it before the cutoff, I believe. Back then, it did still count as a credit, so they should accept it for me, but I don't have an experience with CS 101, so I can't really talk on that. But I believe it is a just a easier version of CS 102. It's just like the CS 102 is just the more advanced version. So yeah. So those are the two classes I ended up finishing. As I was saying about software engineering, is just really dull and dense. I couldn't do it. Another option I was going to try to take was CS 402. Now, CS 402, Networking and Security Foundations, I jumped in. I feel like I have like a little bit of an understanding of networking. But I jumped in, like I suggested. I went straight for the certificate final exam, and I bombed that test like you wouldn't believe. I think I got 28%. Now, there are 4 options on a multiple choice question. So theoretically, if you guess on every single answer, you should get at least 25%. I beat that a little bit. I got 28%. It was bad, okay? It was bad. And I actually didn't know some answers, but it was just so bad. I just decided, you know what? I'm not even going to do it, because having messed around with software engineering before that and seeing how dense that was and how dull the material was, and then briefly looking through networking and security foundations at Saylor, I could tell I'm not going to be able to learn this here. I mean, I probably could, but it would just take way too long. So I decided not to do it at Saylor. So I ended up taking the other ones because, like I said, I took the certificate final exam and I was really close. I think CS 102 I completed on my first try. The certificate is final exam, so I just went straight for. I studied a little bit, but I went after that. I went straight for the credit exam. I passed that on my first try. CS 107 was a little different. It was the test was different. It had coding challenges in there. So it had about 25 multiple choice questions and then a coding challenge, or two coding challenges. And it was pretty easy coding challenges in the grand scheme of things. It was just like, build this program that reads this text file and outputs whatever it says, or build this class and make it output something. So the reason I didn't pass that is because it was in C++. I'm not familiar with C++. I studied it for like a couple days, and then I tried to go into this coding challenge. It's not like an IDE where it'll give you it'll like autocomplete syntax. No, you had to actually know the syntax, and you had to know enough of the syntax to be able to do this. And after a few days, I wasn't prepared, so I did not pass that. But I studied for another 2 weeks. I like practiced the C++. I went back 2 weeks later, had no problem. But this is not something that class is not, like I said, that's CS 107. That is no longer available as a transfer pathway into WGU. So I don't really have much to speak on that, except if you are in a different program, or if that class comes back. One thing I do want to say about the coding challenges is, so I I don't get myself in trouble here. But I mean, I did it correctly. I actually made code that actually worked. But one thing I noticed is there are only one or two test cases. So when you submit, you run the test, there's only one or two test cases. So if you could read between the lines what that means for you, I'm not going to say anything, but you know, take that for what you will. I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, but I did it right. My code worked. So that's all I'm going to say about that. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, on the coding challenges as well. There's this weird thing on there that says something about I forget what it's called. Something regime. I don't know. And I don't know, it had like a percentage next to it. And I was afraid of even running a test because I was afraid that, oh, if I run this test, it's going to dock points or something like that. It didn't dock any points. I was able to run the test an unlimited amount of times, didn't dock any points or anything. That's one thing I was concerned about. So I didn't even want to test my code until I was 100% sure it worked right. You only have to be 100% sure it works right at first. You could run the test over and over and over again until it does work. So I just want to put that out there as well. Like I said, as of December 2022 is no longer an option to take that class anyway, so I won't speak on that. But one thing I do want to speak on at Saylor Academy as well are typos during their tests. So let me just pull something up here. Pull that back up just for a moment. Okay. So this is an example from the direct credit exam for CS 107. I'm reluctant to even show you this because it is during a credit exam, but I am blocking out a vast majority of the question. I'm only showing you one little line, but if you're familiar with C++ or Java and for loops, so I just want you to take a look at this, and maybe you could spot what's wrong here, but I'll give you a second to look at it. Just assume that no other variables are referenced except for I within the rest of this code block. Just assume that, right? Okay, so, all right. So what's wrong with it? Okay. So here's what's wrong with it. Okay, so a for loop usually it starts with, you start by initiating an initial value of something right here. So int I, that's usually the convention. Usually it says I less than 5, I plus plus. So it's this loop is going to keep running until I equals 5. Once it equals 5, it is no longer less than 5. So the loop ends. Every time it runs through, I gets a little bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is going to run 5 times. Okay. I less than 5. This says A less than 5. None of the options for this question reflect A less than 5. They reflect I less than 5. If it was A less than 5, this would either be an infinite loop or it wouldn't compile at all because possibly A is not initiated or initialized somewhere else. So it would either not compile at all or it would be an infinite loop. That's really the only option here. But that isn't an option for any of the answers for this question. So I just had to assume that this was a typo and this is I instead of A. That's a problem, right? Because there are other, I did get it right, by the way. I assumed it was A, or I assumed it was I instead of A, and I got it right. But I shouldn't have got it right because if I went by what this said, none of these answers are right. So I just assumed it was because I'd seen typos in other questions. Not a ton, but I see them. See them all the time. Maybe that doesn't mean I see them a lot, but it was enough to notice that there are a lot of typos. So, but one thing about that I will say is if you were to fail a test because of one question that's like that, you could probably contact Saylor and let them know, hey, I missed this question because there's a typo here, and maybe they would give you credit for it and then pass you, or maybe not. I don't know. But I got this one right, so it wasn't an option for me anyway. And this was the time I failed this question, but I had missed this time I failed this attempt rather. But I'd already missed too many to pass anyway, so I didn't even bother. Plus, I got this right anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. There's another example. Actually, right before I started recording this, I wanted to go back and just double check I'm not crazy. But there was a question. It was in another test that one of the answers, so I copied and pasted the question. I took the question, I copied and pasted it into Google, and the answer I chose was the definition of the question. So I know for a fact I got it right, but it said I was wrong. So that's another example of something that, maybe if that is the reason you fail the test, you can contact Saylor and maybe they'll turn that around for you and give you credit for it. And but I already missed way too many, and so I didn't even try. So, but maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. Yeah. Really, that's all I really wanted to say about Saylor, really. So I'll just pull up the pathways here one more time. So yeah. So here's what I would recommend with Saylor Academy. The first thing you do is you look at Sophia, okay? Look at Sophia right here. So these are the Sophia pathways. So you want to do every single one of these classes at Sophia. Every single one of these, you want to try to do these at Sophia. With the exception of maybe a couple. I will get to that in a future video. I don't want this one to be too long. But just plan on doing every single one of these classes at Sophia. Ignore study.com for now. Okay? Study.com is the one I recommend doing last because of the price. So look at Sophia. Look at StraighterLine as well. You want to plan on doing at least 4 classes at StraighterLine, and I will tell you why in a future video. But you want to plan on doing 4 classes there. So whatever's left over between whatever you're going to do at Sophia Learning and whatever you're going to do at StraighterLine, try to do them at Saylor Academy. For me at the time, I think it's probably the same classes here now, but the only options for that were Networking Security Foundations, Scripting and Programming Foundations, Applications, and then the Software Engineering. These are all available at study.com. Actually, I'm not totally sure that Applications is available at study.com, but don't do that at study.com. Don't do any of those at study.com until you at least try to do the certificate final exam at Saylor and see how well you do. Just because of the price. That's all it's about. And also, study.com, the classes take a while. They're not like incredibly long. They could be done in a few days, but more expensive, way more time consuming. So if you already know the subject, I was lucky enough, I've been programming for a little bit over a year. So the foundations and applications, scripting and programming, I was able to do those without very much studying at all. I was already familiar with the subject, so I passed those classes no problem. And then the software engineering, I just could not get a handle of that. And then even though I want to be a software engineer, it's kind of sad. But I did take that class at study.com and I passed that no problem. It's just something about Saylor. It's really hard to learn there. So yeah. So there's that. So okay. So now the fun part. Okay. So what rating do I give Saylor Academy? Okay. So let me just pull this up here. Let's see. So I created this nice proprietary program here that is going to give us, I'm going to put in how important to me certain aspects are, and is going to output what rating that Saylor Academy gets based on how important certain things are to me. So being the very frugal man that I am, how important to you is it that courses are cheap? Very, very important. So I'm going to put, so my options are slightly, moderately, extremely. To me, it's extremely important. Okay, so extremely. Okay. How important to you is that the classes are easy? I like easy classes, but I'm willing to work. I'm just going to say moderately. How important to you that the classes can be done quickly? Believe it or not, I'm not all that concerned about speed, but it's definitely important. So I'm also going to say moderately for that as well. Okay. And you know, which school would I like the rating for? We've been talking about Saylor Academy, so I'm going to put Saylor Academy. Okay, so there's your answer. Saylor Academy receives a rating of 3.25 hoots out of 5. I'm sorry, I'm a huge dork. Yeah, so these are owls here. WGU's mascot is an owl. As you can see, it looks like an owl. It's wearing a WGU t-shirt. And Saylor Academy gets owls hoot. So WGU, sorry, Saylor Academy receives 3.25 hoots, and that's out of 5. Okay, so that's the rating I give Saylor Academy based on based on the criteria I gave it. So yeah. Also, you know, this is I just wanted to put this out there. This is a, you know, proprietary program here, but I've decided to make it open source. I posted it on my GitHub page. You could check that out in the description. Yeah, if you want to look at the GitHub page, you can fork this repository. This program is called the WGU Pathway Rater. Take a look at it. I think it'd be pretty cool to give the owl some kind of graduation cap or a gown or something like this. I'm not very skilled at emoticons. I think these are called emoticons. I'm not sure. Whatever these things are called. Be kind of cool to make it look really cool with a cap and a gown or something. Or also my algorithm for deciding this score kind of sucks. I think it works, but it's hanging on by a thread. So if there's some kind of math genius out there who wants to like make it like some kind of really complex thing, that'd be kind of cool too. So if you decide to do that, hey, take a look at it. I had fun making this. It's in Python, if that makes any difference. And yeah, just do whatever you want with it. Let me know what you did. Send me a link to your GitHub page. I'd love to take a look at it. Yeah, really. that about covers it, I think. Um, really, all I want to say now is, yeah, check out my. I just created an Instagram page. I'm not a huge social media guy, but I've actually literally nothing posted on there right now. It's Camera Engineer on Instagram, Camera Engineer on Camera Engineer. My name's Cameron. I want to be a engineer, software engineer. So Cameron Engineer. I thought it was very clever. I don't know you, but I thought it was clever. So Camera Engineer that's my name. On GitHub, on Instagram, on Twitter, and here on YouTube. So yeah, if you made it in this video, maybe hopefully you liked something about it. Hopefully you gained something from it. Give me a like. That'd be cool. Subscribe if you want to see more. I have a lot more coming. This was only Saylor Academy. I only did 2 classes here. I'm gonna try not to be so verbose in the next videos. But I want to talk about all of these. I have a lot of great tips for all of them. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So yeah, give me a like, follow me on the social medias, whatever. And until next time. See you next time. Okay. Bye-bye.